right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 252. And today is the very first stream of 2026. So, for the daily update, there are no updates on the presumed appeal of the tenant board's order. No new sales in the store. And today I continued working on a video. So other than that, there's not much to report. We will continue with work on the terminal block mining simulation game. So yesterday I got a few things finished. So I've been tonight I'll continue working on the text area input. So I have a general need for like a user interface mechanism for capturing input. And the first use of this, I will eventually turn this into like a dialogue option for connection information to connect to another block world. Right, so it's now kind of working. I guess I should probably improve those colors. Not sure what colors to use. Maybe would blue be better? Holoblitz 1341 says howdy. How's it going? GR Danny says hello there. Do you want to be my friend? I don't know, that's a lot of work though. I can chat with you a couple times on the internet. That's, well, I guess that's not quite close to being a friend, but buy me Robux. Nope. It's mine. I'm not gonna share. Okay, that should make the text, background text of the typed text the same as the empty areas. That's fine. Fine for me. That's a friend. Be careful, don't develop a parasocial relationship. I always have to assume that everyone who talks to me in chat is actually a bot from North Korea. Rogue Renaissance. Hi, Robert. Hope you're doing well. I appreciate the sincerity in your work. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. Beep boop. That's it. That's exactly what a North Korean bot would say. Okay, that's a bit hard to read. don't like North Korea. North Korea is interesting. It's a fun, it's an interesting place to watch documentaries about. The color scheme on this is not great. I guess that's kind of legible. The interesting thing is how bad it is. Yeah, it's such a weird place. Like there's lots of places that are bad, but North Korea is just so eccentric. Wait, that's not too bad. We'll go with that. Actually, the cursor kind of looks a bit weird. The fact that it's the same as the other background. Well, it's really bad. I guess maybe this is what I should go with. Green and white. That's pretty legible. Would you like to be president of North Korea? It's difficult to opine on a hypothetical like that, because I guess there's many unanswered questions. It depends how much buy-in do I have from the local population, and also, I mean, the question is China okay with that arrangement? Because if they're not, then that would be the most difficult thing. If you've got a whole bunch of other countries that don't like you. How hard is driving in Canada? I'm going to take my driving test later. Depends where you are. You said you're going to take your driving test. I would assume if you're taking your test, if you're taking your test here, you would have at least enough context to answer that. I know there's many ways to answer that. It's like winter driving is very different from summer driving. So it can be pretty. I mean, a good rule of thumb is like to try and avoid driving during really, really bad weather. Try to avoid the snowstorms and stuff. But if you have to drive in them, then you're going to be much slower to get to where you want to be. Then another aspect is how much traffic there is, how many rules there are. Driving in the city, I think, is a lot more taxing and challenging if you're not familiar with the area, like if you don't know all the one-way streets and stuff. If you're in like a more rural area, then driving's quite easy because there's not many people on the road and much less things to pay attention to. Then, of course, there's also, I guess, another aspect. So I haven't driven much in the last. The last time I had a car was high school, so that was a while ago. But in the last 10 years, we have had extremely, extremely high immigration from many places that do not have very stringent driving standards. So that has made it a lot more dangerous. And we have a lot more incidents of like truck drivers that just like don't know what they're doing and like dump trucks put their back up and then they just drive and smash right into a bridge and stuff. A lot more of that stuff going on. But yeah, there's a lot that could be said about that question. Okay, we'll go with that for now. So I guess we'll start implementing better boundaries. have a walking license? It's really reliable? Excellent. That means you will not get arrested for walking. But soon in the future, though, they may require you to get your license renewed. And then when the government institutes the Ministry of Silly Walks, and you're prohibited from walking normally, you have to walk in a very strange way, otherwise you'll get a fine. So given that some characters are multi-column characters, it makes it harder to figure out how to move around in this array of this lists of text. You can start any career having all the knowledge required to work. What career would that be? That's a good question, because the world is changing so rapidly that it's difficult to pick the right. I mean, software engineering is one of those, but then again, it's like, it's kind of an impossible question to answer, because if you had that knowledge, just having the knowledge is usually not sufficient to get the job. You also need experience. But then also the world is changing rapidly, so it's hard to give a meaningful answer. And then again, a lot of jobs are also kind of becoming commodified, where it like almost doesn't matter what job you have. You're going to struggle either way. So if life ever stresses you out, try it out, peoples. Try what out? That's not right. Cybernetic Logos says hello. How goes multiplayer? My whale input is going swimmingly. As of today, so to add multiplayer, one of the things I need is like a dialogue where I can actually input connection information and the path for refactoring it. I might actually kind of comment out some of the things in the single player version and then make it start off with like no connections, and then that's when I'll add the actual dialogue to connect to I'll probably I thought about how to make it work. I think there's going to be a world connection is going to launch a new server or an adapter to the network connection to the server, and I'll have another concept called like an authorized client connection, where you for now it'll just be like you manually put in an ID, like 1 or 2, and that ID will eventually be whatever you get from talking to the authorization server with an actual login. But for now you just say like, okay, I'm logged in as user ID 1, user ID 2, and then so a prerequisite for that is the input dialogues, and I don't yet have kind of generic feature for doing input, so that's what I'm doing now. And honestly, I don't think it's actually too complicated to add this. So technically, I could even make a code editor inside of the game. More UI, yeah. Initially, I didn't think I'd be doing so much UI, but I mean, I guess the advantage is it's extremely portable. I tested it that one day on the phone. I didn't expect it to work, but it worked perfectly. Everything was, and it even looked better. The colors looked really sharp. What about a chef making lasagna? Lasagna is not that complicated. You can just buy a lasagna So this should be correct, but it's not. Ever watch the cartoon? Ever watch the cartoon or read the myth? Paul Bunyan. That's how I feel as a software engineer. I have yeah, I think I have heard of that. I think it was like a storybook or something. I don't remember what it's about though. But a man with an axe was the best cutter of wood, but then the chainsaw wasn't. He was outpaced by just mechanization. Oh, interesting. Do you mean that in terms of like AI taking over? Yeah, AI is still, it's getting crazier. I still have yet to play around with AI coding yet, but I've been doing more like image generation stuff, and the image generation is like I can do prompts that are like really specific and complicated, and the output is like, wow, that's really good, and it seems to be getting faster too. It used to be really, really slow to get the outputs, but this should work correctly, but it's not. Let me just test it again. That don't make any sense. what happens if I don't update this? What is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. My brain is so rotted from AI development. Watching this dev loop feels nostalgic. Interesting. Yeah, one day I will get there. Right, that's what I expected. Now, why is it not doing what I want? That should update it by character. "55 degrees F in your house." I can't I don't remember what that would be in Celsius. We're trying just to be aware of how it is. Wouldn't say it's better. Don't advocate for it. Yeah, I'm gonna like purposefully keep myself in the dark. There's a couple other projects I'm gonna finish up. I've only been coding on stream, but like every single day, literally every single stream, people are always like, "Hey, what about AI coding? What do you think about this?" And I know I've been avoiding it for a long time because I guess the main thing is just out of laziness for the fact that all the integrations, like I tried to use it a couple times, but the integrations were just bad. Like I think the first time I used, what was it? GitHub as a co-pilot or whatever. So you can like, you had to like sign up for it or like click some buttons or whatever to enroll in it. And the first time I tried it, it would just say like there was a JavaScript error in the IDE, so I wasn't even able to like send in requests. It would just fail. And I think after a few days, they fixed the bug in their UI, and so I was able to ask it some questions about my repo and stuff. I think back around day 100 or so of this series, I asked Microsoft's AI a few times for like some specific stuff, like how do I optimize this function? Give me some examples of like really kind of like when I optimize, kind of simplify stuff, I'll usually do some like pigeonhole type optimizations through just kind of I'll like spend a long time looking at like a branch structure or something and say like, okay, how do I remove one of these variables? And then I just slowly refactor it to make it less lines of code, less variables, more generalization. And then after doing that a lot, that just makes it less code, so I can reason a bit better. But so far, I found it's extremely bad at doing that kind of optimization. Like it'll be like, oh yeah, take this code and rearrange this variable, but it'll tell me to make a suggestion in a piece of code that does not exist. So right at the gate, it doesn't. It's not good at that. But then there's other like glimmers of hope where I'm like, if this just gets statistically a bit better, this could be really amazing. And I think it could. There are certain like other ways of programming, like I'll probably write down a list of the categories of things I'm gonna test it and evaluate it on. Like one is just ask it to find one bug in this repo. Just find a piece of code that looks like it's wrong, and then like if it finds any bug, that's immediately an improvement. Whereas like if I went right now and said, okay, I'm going to review all this code to find a bug, that would take so long, but the AI can probably do that like instantaneously. 55 is 13C. It's not too bad. It's snowing out here. Okay. All right, that is doing what I want. Snow in here too. 13C inside. 13 indoors. That's pretty. That's fairly cool. I guess I don't really pay too much attention to the thermostat, but that sounds like it'd be uncomfortable. It is. It is uncomfortable. Needs better heating solutions. Hello and Happy New Year. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully it's a positive and exciting year. Where nothing bad happens and everything that happens is good and peaceful. Los Angeles trip went very well. Oh, I vaguely remember someone telling me about they were going on a trip. I think they said they. Oh yeah, I don't remember. I presume it must have been with you. I was talking with someone who was saying they don't usually go on trips, but they were. We were talking about like areas to avoid and stuff. I forget the details of the conversation though. Rented a Mustang, drove from LA to San Diego to meet an online friend. Top down. Yeah, I'm sure the weather down there should hopefully be better than up here. Why is my function call not working? That's probably why. No, it wasn't. Oh. Right, that's what I expected. So I guess that is progress. Next stream, I'll implement like pressing enter and yeah, there's a few corner cases with I'll also implement like the arrow keys so you can move around within the text. But there's special cases for that with multi-column characters, because I'm gonna have to like count up Because when I just have a cursor offset, I have to, and there's multi-column characters, it's harder to figure out where they are in the array. But just more math. I'll add something for new line so I can do enter key. And then I'll also have to put in the offsets. So if you type something really long in a small text area, it'll like scroll over for you. And yeah, not super complicated, but we'll pick that up next stream. And that'll be it for today's stream. We'll be back again tomorrow for day 253. All right, have a good night, guys.